Assalamu alaikum, this is Maria Zulfikar welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. Fifth Primary Education Development Program to begin on July 1st. Prime Minister Tarique Rahman tells Jatiya Sangsad. No prices of fuel in next 2 months, briefs spokesman for Ministry of Power. New law to be formulated ensuring fair leasing of water bodies, says Prime Minister's advisor on information and broadcasting. US President Trump rejects ceasefire extension, claims Iran war may end soon. Viewers, those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. Prime Minister Tarique Rahman informed the Jatiya Sangsad that the 5-year term 5th Primary Education Development Program is set to begin from July 1. The Leader of the House said this while replying to a stared question from Treasury Bench member Humam Kadir Chaudhry in the House with Speaker Hafizuddin Ahmed Bir Bikram in the chair today. He said the current government's election manifesto has emphasized bringing all primary school teachers in the country under special training programs to improve their teaching skills. The Prime Minister said his government has already taken steps to take into consideration the potential findings from the maritime special planning activities. He also said the BNP's election manifesto includes ensuring the scientific and sustainable use of the country's vast marine resources. Prime Minister Tarique Rahman informed the Parliament that the present government has a specific commitment to develop Bangladesh's tourism sector in sustainable and planned manner. The Civil Aviation and Tourism Ministry is working to formulate a national tourism master plan. To this end, he added. Prime Minister Tarique Rahman told the Jatiya Sangsad that his government has specific plans to explore alternative labor market abroad in view of recent instability in the Middle East, including Iran. Tarique Rahman said that the government has taken necessary steps to formulate and implement action plans based on a 180-day program to implement the commitments made in the election manifesto.
বেসামরিক বিমান পরিবহন এবং পর্যটন মন্ত্রণালয় জাতীয় পর্যটন মহাপরিকল্পনা প্রণয়নের লক্ষ্যে এরই ভিতরে কাজ শুরু করেছে। এই মহাপরিকল্পনা প্রণয়নে কুয়াকাটার প্রাকৃতিক সৌন্দর্য রক্ষা এবং পর্যটন খাতের উন্নয়নকে বিশেষভাবে আমরা গুরুত্ব দিতে চাইছি। একই সাথে পটুয়াখালী জেলার কুয়াকাটা, চট্টগ্রাম জেলার পতেঙ্গা, আনোয়ারা সি বিচের মৌলিক সুবিধাদি উন্নয়ন শীর্ষক একটি প্রকল্প গ্রহণের নিমিত্তে এর ভিতরেই সম্ভাব্যতা যেটি আছে সেটি যাচাই করা হচ্ছে। গৃহায়ন ও গণপূর্ত মন্ত্রণালয় কর্তৃক কুয়াকাটা সংলগ্ন 7টি উপজেলা গলাচিপা, কলাপাড়া, রাঙামালী, বরগুনা সদর, পাথরঘাটা, আমতলী এবং তালতলী নিয়ে পায়রা কুয়াকাটা কম্প্রিহেন্সিভ প্ল্যান ফোকাসিং অন ইকো ট্যুরিজম শীর্ষক গৃহীত পরিকল্পনা বাস্তবায়নের জন্য বর্তমান অ্যাকশন এরিয়া প্ল্যান তৈরি করা হচ্ছে।
Agriculture Minister Muhammad Aminur Rashid has informed Parliament that the current BNP government has taken special initiatives to improve onion preservation. Responding to a query, the minister said that while the country currently produces enough onions to meet domestic demand, about 25 to 30% of the produce is lost due to inadequate shortage facilities. To address this, the ministry is preparing a special project aimed at reducing post-harvest losses. Under the plan, around 8 to 10,000 airflow machines will be installed. Once implemented, the project is expected to ensure fair prices for farmers and help the country achieve full self-sufficiency in onion production. In response to another question, Environment, Forest and Climate Change Minister Abdulawal Mintu said this government is encouraging the use of eco-friendly block bricks instead of traditional clay bricks to reduce air pollution. He added the government will take all necessary measures to tackle pollution and has also undertaken projects to convert waste into resources. Meanwhile, Civil Aviation and Tourism Minister Afroza Khanum told Parliament that a comprehensive master plan is being developed to promote all potential tourist destinations in the country. She also alleged that the previous Awami League government had failed to give adequate importance to the tourism sector. Later, a general discussion was held on the motion of thanks on the President's address in Jatiya Sangsad. Power, Energy and Mineral Resources Ministry spokesman Joint Secretary Monir Hossain Chaudhary said that Bangladesh currently has sufficient fuel reserves to meet demand for the next 2 months. He revealed the information at a press briefing held at the Bangladesh Secretariat today on the global fuel crisis amid the ongoing Iran-US war. Monir Hossain Chaudhary assured that the country currently has adequate fuel stocks to meet domestic demand. Bangladesh's diesel reserves stand at 101,385 metric tons, octane at 31,821 metric tons, petrol at 18,211 metric tons, and furnace oil at 77,546 metric tons, he added. Besides, jet fuel reserves are reported at 18,223 metric tons. Prime Minister's advisor on Information and Broadcasting, Dr. Zahidur Rahman, has said that a new law is being formulated regarding the leasing of water bodies in the country. He made the statement at a press briefing held in the conference room of the Department of Information at the Secretariat this morning. Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Muhammad Yasin, Chief Information Officer Yaqub Ali, and other senior officials of the ministry were present at the briefing. The advisor said the new law aims to ensure that genuine farmers and fishermen benefit from the leasing of water bodies. Referring to the government's efforts to fulfill its election commitments, he said that the farmer cards have already been distributed. He also mentioned that 425 crore 33 lakh taka has been allocated for canal excavation projects. He further stated that petrol and octane are being stockpiled to ensure fuel supply. In the context of the situation arising from the Middle East conflict, the government currently has no plans to increase fuel prices. In a case filed over crimes against humanity for the killing of 9 people at Mohammadpur in the capital. During the July mass uprising, the country has deferred the hearing on the formal charge framing against 28 accused, including former Textile and Jute Minister Jahangir Kabir Nanak, to April 26. The date was set today by a judicial panel led by the chairman of International Crimes Tribunal 1. 4 individuals have been arrested in connection with the case. Banned Chhatra League's Mohammadpur Thana unit, President Naimul Hassan Russell, Vice President Sajjad Hussain, Omar Farooq and Fazle Rabbi. The hearing was initially scheduled for April 8. However, defense lawyers stated that the prosecution had not provided the necessary documents, leading the tribunal to reschedule the hearing for today. The prosecution will present its arguments first on the next date. On January 18 this year, the court took cognizance of the formal charges submitted by the prosecution and issued arrest warrants against the 28 accused. According to the prosecution, the 3 charges in the case relate to acts of brutality carried out by the Awami League, Chhatra League and the law enforcement agencies during the student public protests on July 18 and 19, 2024. war. It is alleged that under the instigation and both direct and indirect presence of the accused, indiscriminate firing was carried out on unnamed students and civilians during the protests. As a result, 9 people, including Mahmudur Rahman Shoykot and Farhan Fayaz, were killed and many others were injured. Now, international news. US President Donald Trump has ruled out extending the current ceasefire with Iran, which is set to expire on 22nd April, suggesting that a resolution to the conflict may be near. Donald Trump told the New York Post that a new round of talks with Tehran could take place in Pakistan over the next 2 days, after saying the day before that unnamed Iranian officials had called him seeking a deal. He said the war could end either way, but expressed preference for a diplomatic deal, adding that it would allow Iran to rebuild. However, Iran has said it has no information about any new round of US-Iran talks before recent comments by US President Donald Trump suggesting possible developments in Islamabad. A diplomatic source told Iran's state media IRNA that while messages have been exchanged between Tehran and Pakistan, which is mediating between the two sides, no new talks have been confirmed. As per the report, Pakistan remains committed to its mediation efforts after earlier US-Iran talks in Islamabad ended without agreement. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif will visit Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Turkey this week as diplomatic efforts for a second round of US-Iran talks gather pace. The country's president Asif Ali Zardari said the visit aims to strengthen engagement to support peace efforts. Even as diplomacy advanced, US President Donald Trump sought to tighten pressure on Iran with a naval blockade. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) said the damage to the world economy from the US-Israel war on Iran has already begun. Even if the conflict ends now, at its spring meetings in Washington, the IMF warned that global growth would still slow slightly even under an immediate ceasefire. It said prolonged fighting and further infrastructure damage could reduce global growth to around 2% this year, while pushing inflation above 6% next year. The global lender added that oil-producing countries in the region would face the sharpest impact, while developing economies would suffer nearly twice the economic damage compared with advanced nations such as the United States. Israel and Lebanon have agreed to open direct talks after meeting in Washington, in what amounted to a rare diplomatic breakthrough between two countries formerly at war for decades. The Washington meeting, the first direct high-level talk since 1993, was mediated by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and involved the Israeli and Lebanese ambassadors to the United States. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun said he hoped the talks would mark the beginning of the end of the suffering of the Lebanese people. However, the negotiations were fiercely opposed by the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, which claimed at least 24 attacks on Israel and Israeli troops in Lebanon. On the other hand, an Israeli airstrike killed 5 people in the town of Ansariya in southern Lebanon, while Lebanese civil defense teams and paramedics have recovered 4 bodies following an Israeli attack in the Qadmuz area in southern Lebanon. Over 2,000 people have been killed and displaced, more than 1.1 million since Israeli military operations in Lebanon began on 2nd March, just days after US and Israeli strikes began in Iran. About 250 people, including children, were feared missing after a boat carrying Rohingya refugees and Bangladeshi nationals capsized in the Andaman Sea, the United Nations said on Tuesday. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees (UNHCR) said in a statement that the trawler, which departed from Teknaf in southern Bangladesh and was on its way to Malaysia, reportedly sank due to heavy winds, rough seas, and overcrowding. The exact circumstances surrounding the latest incident were unclear, but preliminary information indicated that the vessel was carrying some 280 people. Thousands of Rohingya, Myanmar's persecuted Muslim minority, risk their lives every year fleeing repression and civil war in their country. They travel by sea, often aboard makeshift boats. The death toll from a boiler blast at a power plant in central India has risen to 19. A police officer informed this, noting 17 others are undergoing treatment in various hospitals. The explosion occurred Tuesday at a facility operated by Vedanta Limited, a subsidiary of London-listed Vedanta Resources in Chhattisgarh state's Shakti district. Indian-born billionaire Anil Agarwal, chairman of Vedanta Resources, said he was distressed by the extremely tragic accident and said a high-level investigation into this incident has been initiated. Chhattisgarh state authorities have also launched a probe with Chief Minister Vishnu Desai vowing the strictest possible action against those found guilty.